What about audio now? We got the audio yet? We got audio? Audio? What about audio now? There we go. We got audio. There we go. We go good. We good. We good. We good. We good. We good. There we go. We go good. All right. Let me get out of this. There, no background noise. We got audio, even though it's not showing, but I know it's there. So, hello, good evening, happy Thursday, Wednesday, and thank you for joining me here in the Russian Tea Room on the Sofa King Great Variety Show. I'm your boy, I'm your host, it's Mad Max. What's up? What's up? So, real quick, let's get this out of the way. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips. The balance in favor of fair use. That's a lot to say all the time. I don't know why. Let me put that up there. Let me put that up there, and then let me make myself just a wee bit bigger. And that's too big. All right. One of these days. You know what? Here, let me fix this right now. And of course, one time. Gonna put this one. You know what? We'll put me right here. All right. How's that? Now we got Walmart. Everybody kind of got an idea of what we're looking at here. Excellent. Save. And for whatever reason, I just got doing an update on the computer here at the second studio. And yeah, should be good now. Welcome again. I appreciate you, everybody, watching, tuning in. Appreciate you giving me the opportunity to earn your viewership. Wasn't on last week, didn't do a live last Wednesday. Well, I'll just share a story with you. So moving here from Russia, there were 4 of us. And the 4 of us, we did everything together. We came here at 3 years old, all from the former Soviet Union, different parts. Grew up, our entire lives, did everything together. Everybody, for the most part, has been successful throughout their lives in way of careers, in way of family, just blessed. And I thank God every day for everything that I have and everything that I don't have. And all the things that I could complain about, I do majority of that to him. So what you guys get here is just a little bit of it. Clip that. Here, the story is very simple. Last Wednesday, out of the 4 amigos, there's 3 of us now because last year we lost our oldest brother, and he unfortunately had a birthday January 28th of 2025, and then we buried him literally a month later on February 28, 2025. So his birthday's January 28, 2025, and for 46 years of knowing somebody, that person, they become as much a part of you as anybody else. And when you've done things with them ever since you were little kids, growing up together, doing things together, that person, you lose them, you almost feel like you lose a piece of yourself. So last week, Roma, my friend, my best friend, and I, we went, the third amigo could not get off work. So we went there to the cemetery. We sat and we talked with him and, reflected on the past, looked towards the future, spoke of the present, and, you know, it gave a little bit of relief, I could say, in that way. You never truly get over something like that. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes it takes time. It takes time, and in his case, it wasn't something that anybody was expecting. It's not like he was, you know, deathly ill or had some kind of disease. Quite the contrary. He was one of the most successful individuals, one of the most aggressive risk takers, somebody that wasn't afraid to take chances and get out of their comfort zone, somebody that would move heaven and earth to get what they wanted at a cost, at a price. He had a issue with the bottle, and unfortunately, if you spend the majority of your teenage slash adult years indulging and overindulging in things that you know are not good for you, then there will be repercussions. They might not be immediate or right away, but you will feel them. And that's why I always say listen to your body, try to take care of yourself as best as you can. And I don't like to use the word try. Take care of yourself as the best you can. And depending on where you are in the world, I know a lot of my audience is here stateside. We got Canada, we got the UK, we got Australia, and we've got a few other countries that I've gotten some shouts from. So I greatly appreciate that. And any and every platform that people are tuning in on, it means a lot to me. But back to his story. He very successful in the optical business here in Kansas City, multiple stores and all the money and wealth you can ever ask. But a lot of demons and a lot of darkness in his life, and not pointing fingers at anybody, but a lot of outside influences, sources didn't necessarily help prolong his time here with us. So it would have been his 50th birthday on the 28th, and he he's missed, and he will be for quite some time. But that'd be a lesson that you shouldn't have to learn. No parent should ever have to bury their child, and in this case, that tragedy actually occurred. He, you know, oddly enough, he left Kansas City. It was just probably October of 2024, maybe a little bit earlier, and he'd had a house out here. Matter of fact, it's not just a house; it's a mansion, $2 million mansion out here. And one of his neighbors was actually what's his name? I can't. Baseball player, played for St. Louis. Had a state sale. Uh, let me try on the tip of my tongue. Let me see. Uh, Albert Pujols. That's who it was. Albert Pujols. He was neighbors with Albert Pujols. So to give you an idea of the type of neighborhood and area that he was living in, yeah, he wanted you to know that he had money and he wasn't scared to spend it. And like I said, he went down to Florida, bought another property there. I think this one was close to the same price, and he bought it right outside of Miami, right outside of South Beach, in a place called Little Russia or Little Moscow. Large Russian community out there, and it's just right outside of Miami, right outside of South Beach. And you know, had a friend from Chicago down there to do some work, and they were going to catch up and visit, and they ended up meeting up the Saturday afternoon, which would have been, I think it was the 23rd of February, if I don't recall. Maybe it was the 22nd, I don't know. But that day he saw them. They went out to lunch earlier, and my friend's name also, we've known him for many years, another Russian guy. His name is Michael. Good guy. But he saw them. He said he didn't look so good. He started drinking real early in the morning. By the time he saw him for lunch, he was already shit hammered, blue sheets to the wind, didn't know his own name, couldn't stand, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything right. It was sad, he said. Earlier that day, before he'd met Mike for the lunch, he'd taken a shower to clean himself, and he was drunk enough to where he fell down in the shower, so it looked like the right side of his face, somebody beat the shit out of him. So, yeah. But anyway, it wasn't foul play. It was just a life living, as fast and free as you can with no body really keeping you in check. And nobody's responsible to really keep you in check. You're a grown man, a grown adult. You leave behind three wonderful, beautiful children. And of course, the rest of us will always make sure that the kids will be taken care of. There's no doubt in there. But all the same, it's a tragedy that should have never happened. And unfortunately, I had to tell you this story. So, one other thing, since he died while he was in Florida, they had to ship him back. And in Jewish tradition, you got 3 days to bury a body. So it was the 25th when he had passed, and the 28th is when we had buried him, which was a Friday last year, February 28th. And it was a beautiful day. Weather was, I think it was 40s, 50s in February in Kansas City. That's not something you see very often. But the weather, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful ceremony. And like I said, it was so, nobody was expecting it. Nobody had any idea that, things were that bad. We knew it was bad, but not as bad as it was. But they ended up flying him in from Florida, kept him on ice. They get up here on Thursday evening, and the funeral is going to be Friday morning. We got to make sure that we get them all done and buried before the sun goes down because the Sabbath, right? Shabbos. So, in Jewish tradition, here it is. Since there's no foul play was ruled out, and there wasn't any foul play. And Jewish tradition says this: you bury the dead in a very plain and simple box. There's barely nothing to it. It looks like a box that you can build here just with some materials at Home Depot. It's not a fancy box, and no autopsy. Okay, keep the body, keep everything intact. And the reason for that is, you could say it's reincarnation, but the way the reincarnation works in Jewish tradition, in Jewish law, is that you leave the body whole and intact, and that way, when it's time to rise again, and you literally just come out of the grave, and I'm assuming that you're gonna either be a skeleton or maybe they give you a new body. I don't know how it all works. This is just what the rules are. But the best day to get buried is on a Friday, said the rabbi. The rabbi said the best day to get buried is a Friday because once the sun goes down on a Friday, Sabbath is also observed up top in heaven. Yeah, that's what the rabbi said. And there's not necessarily a heaven or a hell per se. There's kind of just a waiting area, a cleansing area. So Friday, they want to get business done, get ready for the weekend over there. It's a lot easier to make sure you'll be able to get in or in that cleansing area and just wait to come back. So I think it's just the way that the laws and the traditions are. So it's interesting. But if I were to pass away, Friday would be a good day. You know, I think Friday's good. Not that I'm any kind of hurry to go and visit anybody on the other side. I'll see people when I see them. I got plenty of work left here on this place, on this to do. So people depend on me, and I'm not going anywhere. Granted, my capacity, I'm limited in pretty much thing and everything that I can do, but I'm not complaining. You got to be thankful for everything, even the shitty stuff. That's how you know you got good things and bad things. Clip that. You got to make sure you're thankful for it all, good, bad, or otherwise. And never minimize your situation just because there are other people that are struggling or have it worse. That's completely understandable. But if you're also struggling and you've got it bad, then you know what? That still matters. It matters to me. It matters to you. I respond and I reply to everybody primarily. I get comments on the YouTube for the most part, and I try to be as positive as possible. There again, with that try word, trying is a mild form of failure. I'm either going to do something or I'm not. I'm not going to try to do anything. So that's the reason that I was not on last week. But to backtrack a little bit, the week before I had Grant on with me, and Grant is going to be available tomorrow. So Grant is going to be on. We'll probably talk some tech stuff, talk some football, talk some tools, talk some nerd stuff. And Grant's a really good guy. He went to a school with my youngest brother. I got one brother, this actual brother, and they went to school. They're about 10 years younger than me. And, you know, certain things, these youngsters like Grant, even though he's in a very good position in life at his young age, works for Lockton, great job. He retired, I think he was still in his 30s, and he got bored, unretired, had a YouTube channel. I shared some of his videos, and with his permission, of course. I didn't just jack his videos, but you could see that Grant is very handy not only with his mind when it comes to figuring out problems, but he's also very handy with his hands and tools. So the last episode that I actually went live on was with Grant, and we made our divisional picks for the conference championship. I'm sorry, conference picks for the conference championships. I went with the Rams and the Patriots. I was 1-1, still in the losing seasons. Grant went with the Seahawks and the Patriots. So Grant's first time 2-0. Good job, Grant. Good job. Well played, sir. So tomorrow night, Grant's gonna come back on. Not sure exactly what time yet, but we'll get it figured out. I have more time on my hands than Grant does on his, so that's understandable. Football wise, I'm looking forward to the game. I'm not in any way bitter or sour or salty that the Chiefs aren't in it. The Chiefs have been in it since, pretty much 2018 when Mahomes took over the starting role. He's never not known anything but the postseason and the AFC Championship. This is just a part of the game. Can't always be on top, and you know There's always going to be somebody running and gunning for you. And right now, between the two teams left, the Seahawks and the Patriots, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season that's what kind of matchup we could expect for the Super Bowl, I would have thought you're smoking crack or you didn't know shit about sports. But Mike Vrabel proved that he can bring back that old school hard nose defense, Patriot style. And I did not mean to not show the comments. Let's promote you. Let's do it. Come on, promote me all you want. Anyway, so I am impressed with Coach McDonald, what he's been able to do in a very short amount of time with Sam Darnold, of all people, quarterback wise. You talk about a guy, this is going to be his second Super Bowl, his first as a starter. He's also the first USC quarterback to start a Super Bowl. He could also be the first USC quarterback to potentially win a Super Bowl. And when it comes down to the Super Bowl or the big game, whatever the proper terminology is anymore, we all know it as the Super Bowl. We call it Super Bowl Sunday. That's how ingrained it is in our culture here in the United States. It's, I was actually watching a video when we can take a look at it for educational purposes and kind of critique it on how much there is involved in the Super Bowl, all the logistics, all the costs associated with it, all the security, just everything that you can imagine. It's basically it turns into a city for the course of 3 to 4 hours, and it's pretty amazing. I'm pretty sure I have it saved, and we can watch it and react to it. Not a big deal. I just wanted to get on because I wasn't on last week, and wanted to give you a reason why. A lot of you guys, obviously, guys, don't know my friend or knew my friend, but his name was Felix. We called him Fish, and he's a great guy. He's missed. But on Facebook, I posted it where a lot of people that know me, knew him, knew us all, know us all, and yeah. So last week was just chill out, relax. Tomorrow night, Grant's going to be on talking tech, talking nerd, talking tools. Tonight, I'll give you my opinion on what it says here. Harbor Freight, the new Sears, and is Walmart the new old Harbor Freight? Yeah, I actually do think that, and I'll explain what I mean. Let me see if this pops up because there, I had it earlier. There we go. Real quick. As far as Super Bowl goes, the Seahawks are favored by 4.5 points. Over under is 45.5, and the money line they're going with Seattle. Me, I'm taking the Patriots. I'll ask Grant tomorrow who he's got and whatever he thinks. NBA wise, two biggest stories in my opinion that I even care about. AD got traded off to the Wizards, 10-time All-Star. Just a great player, injury prone. I know he's played less than 30 games since he's been a Maverick, and that's not entirely his fault. He's injured and he's never had an opportunity to fully recover. He just gets thrown right back in. And, I wish him nothing but the best on that Washington Wizards team, but I don't know how good that team's going to be. Bulls made quite a bit of moves. They got rid of Kobe White. They also got rid of Vucevic to the Celtics, and we'll take Vuce all day long. Not a problem. Celtics still in third place in the East. Between them and the Knicks, they're going back and forth. First place, you still got the Pistons. And as far as the West goes, you got the Spurs, you got the Nuggets, you got the Rockets. Lakers, you got kind of they're at fifth place right now, but they're right around, in all honesty, at best a play-in team. They're right there in the mix between Golden State and the other Los Angeles team, the Clippers. So I don't know. If they do make the playoffs, it'll be by an absolute miracle, and it'll probably be in a play-in type scenario, which isn't going to favor them at all. It's just not going to help their cause, which is also fine because they're not a very good team. They're one-dimensional. They don't have great two-way players defensively. Marcus Smart is the best player on the defensive side of the ball, and JJ Redick and his rotations have still got a lot of people just scratching their heads. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Uh, what else? Jayhawks, number 11 seed right now. Darren Patterson, he's a beast. He's going to be a problem. Who's first place? Arizona State still in first place, undefeated. Then the first 1 through 10, you're looking at teams that are 2 and 3 loss teams, and then you get to KU at 11. They're at a 5 loss season thus far, but we'll see what happens. Still plenty of basketball to play in college, so we'll see. Before we get into tools, real quick, clip this, clip that. Movie wise, I've been watching the series on HBO, A King of the Seven Kingdoms. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, I apologize. If you're into Game of Thrones, if you're into House of the Dragon, then you probably enjoy this. It's going to be, from what I understand, a 6-part series. They are having episode 4 on Friday night as opposed to Sunday night due to Super Bowl Sunday, and they they're going to have it on Friday night, and then obviously the next Sunday, not this Sunday, they'll have the 5th episode and then a 6th episode. Then House of the Dragon's supposed to be coming back on in summertime with 2 more seasons, and it'll be a wrap after that. So I like it. I think it's an interesting show. It's a little slower than what House of the Dragon or Game of Thrones has started out to be, but not saying anything bad about it. It's been entertaining. I enjoy that kind of stuff. I'm not like a Renaissance fair kind of guy, but I do enjoy that nonfiction fantasy type genre that's got plenty of action with a good story. That helps quite a bit. Aside from that, what else we got? Harbor Freight, the new Sears. When I was around and I was younger, and a lot of the individuals right now, the younger cats, don't even know what Sears was because they don't exist really. Sears, Roebuck and Company in Craftsman were a part of Americana. I started out tool wise as a young man with Craftsman and Snap On. And then gradually, at one point or another, if you've seen any of my videos with tools prior to my injury and retirement, I had, whether it was Snap On, Matco, Mac, DeWalt, Milwaukee, Makita, Cornwell, Matco, Rigid, Bauer, Hercules, Ryobi, you name it, I had it. And now, unfortunately, I don't have any real use for tools, though I do have tools. And Sears and Craftsman, like I said, a staple of Americana. You'd have a Craftsman tool. If you had an issue with it, hand tool wise, you bring it back to Sears. get you a new one right then and there if they had it. If not, they'd order it for you, no problem. And Harbor Freight basically took that same spot. And Harbor Freight's always had that same policy with their hand tools. But now the hand tools that you're getting at Harbor Freight are of a higher quality than when they were around in the early 2000s. And even slightly before that, they've been around for quite some time. But for the most part, they were known for selling garbage tools. That has changed considerably over the last, I'd say, decade, as they've now got their Bauer line and then their top of the line Hercules as far as cordless products go. The Bauer, the biggest difference between the Bauer and the Hercules, obviously the battery, and brushed versus brushless, which we'll get into in just a moment. And aside from that, their warranty very similar to what Sears had. You had an issue with the tool, you go in there, swap it out, no questions asked. That's very convenient. Number one, it's very it gives the customer, the consumer, peace of mind, and you know that if anything happens to the tool, you can go in and get another one. Now, the other side of the coin to that is if you're buying tools that are constantly failing on you and you're getting the same thing and repeating the same problem, then maybe you should try a different tool, or maybe you should try a different place and get the same tool by a different manufacturer. I don't know. If the right tool is in the right hands of a skilled individual that knows how to use it, then there should generally be no problem. Generally. And I speak to that as a technician who has worked on automotive, small engine, tractors, semis, heavy equipment and machinery, lots of different things, a plethora of things. I'm not patting myself on the back or tooting my own horn. I'm just letting you know that I have plenty of experience with tools and with working on them. And I've had to sell tools. I got out and retired in 2015, I believe it was. Had a shop in Greenwood, Missouri, and then we had a little girl, so I stayed home and I was dad. I was dad. That was my job. My wife, she was working, and my wife now she works for herself. She's got her own business, does good, and I had the chance to be a dad, and being a dad was just fine. It was great work, and I also still had some tools, so where I was able to do some things, some projects on the side, and make a little bit of money. Never, nothing wrong with working on the side and making some honest money. Absolutely, that's also just as much a part of America as anything else. And so I did sell the majority of my tools in my auction, and then retired. Child got older, got back into it on a different scale, worked for somebody else, and working for somebody else versus working for yourself are two completely different animals, regardless of what your skill or what your trade is. Because the way that you do business may not necessarily jive with how a structure, a corporate structure, may run. Now, we can get into finances and discrepancies. In my opinion, if I'm a manager of a store, of an auto parts store that is making millions of dollars a year, but you don't want to pay more than $15, $17 an hour, then You're telling me that I'm not worth very much to you, yet you entrust me to run your multi-million-dollar store and expect for me to, you know, move mountains for you. Doesn't work that way. You want to get paid a fair wage for an honest day's work. Unfortunately, inflation and cost of living gone up, but wages not so much. Skilled trades. People are taking skilled trades more serious, and I think that's good. I don't think that everybody's cut out to do certain things, but I think that people getting out of their comfort zone and going into a field like mechanics or aviation or construction or masonry, carpentry, whatever it is. If you like working with your hands, you don't mind getting dirty and working hard, and you enjoy shop talk and tools, then do things that you enjoy, that you're good at, and that you can make money doing. Otherwise, it's just a job. Back to Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight's really stepped up their game. They make a lot better tool now than they did. They've got a brushless line primarily in the Hercules brand, both 12 and 20 volt, and also with their Bauer brand in the 20 volt on those. I don't believe they have a 12 volt in the Bauer, but I know they do in the Hercules. Uh, they're not bad tools. Any tool used properly is going to do what it's supposed to do. And if you use that tool properly and know what you're doing, then you won't have any issues. I've had guys that, you know, I've seen guys with the most expensive toolbox with all the tools they could possibly buy and not be able to get shit done. I've also got individuals that I've had ASC certified, this, that, and everything else, can't fix anything unless they got a manual in front of them. No, no. Nobody knows everything, and anybody says that they do, they're not being honest with you. Stay away. Stay away. And I'm not telling you to go buy Harbor Freight tools, and I'm not telling you not to buy Harbor Freight tools. Buy the tool that you need to get the job done. Buy what you know how to use. Don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone, but don't put yourself in a position where you could potentially get hurt or create a bigger mess than what you already have. That's the last thing you want. So just make sure that you're confident in your ability, whether it's because you've read up on it or you watched a YouTube video or you have a friend that's in the industry, but he's too busy, and yet he showed you or told you how to do it. Whatever your case may be, it's not about having the most expensive tool or having the tool with the best specs. That's got nothing to do with it. It's having the right tool in the right person's hand for the right job. I'll give you a good example. And this one goes back and forth with people forever. And I don't know what the big deal about it is. It's, there's no right or wrong. But if I have a drill, and when I say drill, I mean just a drill. Usually it's got a clutch on it, it's got two speed, variable speed trigger, and it's either got a 3/8 or a half-inch chuck. I use that drill to make holes, bore out holes, and at times to fasten things. I don't use the drill like I would use a driver or an impact, meaning in most cases, the consumer or prosumer or the professional isn't sitting here driving in eight 12-inch lag bolts with a 12-volt Milwaukee half-inch drive. That's just not even, no, you're not doing that. That's not practical, and that doesn't happen in the field, regardless of what field you may be in. Guys aren't out there misusing or mistreating their tools because their tools, that's how they make their money, which is important because when you're finding out what tool you need and what you want to buy into, you want to make sure that A, you can afford it, B, they've got what you need, C, it's going to work and last and has backing of a warranty or a service agreement behind it. And like I said, you like it, whether it's, a TTI brand or a SBD brand, or whether it's something off the tool truck, off the Matco truck, off the Cornwell truck, off the Snap-on truck. It doesn't make any difference. And whether you're one of those individuals that likes to stick to just one brand, there's nothing wrong with that. If you like to have more than one option and you have multiple brands and multiple ecosystems of tools, there's nothing wrong with that either. When I was still turning a wrench, I'd have a little bit of everything because not any one tool manufacturer has every type of tool. Okay. So, my field primarily was automotive and large truck, trash truck, semi trucks. Peterbilt is who I worked for. That was my last job. But semi trucks, trash trucks, all these types of big vehicles, a 12-volt tool, you're not doing much more than interior work. Everything on the outside is going to be 3/8, 3/4, half inch, and even 1 inch. And hand tools, of course. Giant torque wrenches on equipment like tractors. You're not going to be doing anything with, you know, most of your 12-volt tools, with exception. Milwaukee's got their right angle M12s. Their 3/8 and their half inch are amazing, especially small engine wise for taking blades on and off. They work really, really well. Their their lights that are M12 and magnetic and have multiple positions, they work really well for illumination purposes. I don't like the batteries unless they're chimney stacked, kind of like a Ryobi. I don't like anything less than a 4 amp hour battery on them because they simply are underpowered with the smaller batteries and don't last anywhere near as long. And there again, it comes down to what line of work are you in? What are you going to be using this tool for? How often are you going to be using this tool? If this is a tool that's your silver bullet, your ride or die, then you got to make sure it's good and you want to keep it in tip top condition. So I recommend that you do get one of the better tools, not the most expensive tool, just one of the better tools. If you ask me what I think good tools are, I'll tell you that the Walt is right up there on a level with Matco, Snap on, Milwaukee, easy all day long. I'll tell you, Ryobi Team Green is a great tool. And I'll tell you, Matco is a great tool. And I can say that there's parts of those that are good and bad. You can't have one without the other. There's no one tool company that doesn't have something that'll give you issues. It happens. It happens, just like cars. You get a new car, it might have problems. You get a used car, it might have problems. My wife, she recently got the new Volkswagen Atlas. Like a week after she got it, they had an issue with the software and things weren't reading right, and she was having a problem with her technology inside the car. I don't drive it. I just sit in it when we go to the doctor. So I don't know a whole lot about what issue she was having, but they took care of it. Technology. So, and the more technology and the more sophistication that you put in a vehicle, they do the same thing with tools. Tools have gone a long way. And You talk about Walmart. Walmart has tools also. They've got their hyper tough stuff, and they've also got a TTI product in Hart. Hart is probably the least expensive tool that you can possibly buy, short of just used tools that are not any good. And I'm not saying that hard tools aren't any good or that they are good. I'm just saying that that is probably the bottom tier of the TTI tool family that you're going to buy. Kind of like Stanley Black and Decker. Black and Decker stuff is probably going to be the bottom of the barrel, but I'll take a Black and Decker any day over a Hart. And Hart's been around for a long time. It's not like they're an old or a new company. They've been around for quite some time. Festool, they've been around for quite some time. Metabo, Hitachi, even though they don't, not mainstream like the, you know, Milwaukee's and your DeWalt's, but you can go back to like 2013 and there really weren't a whole lot of guys in shops that were rocking the Milwaukee's. It really wasn't happening. You had the Walt guys, you had your truck guys that bought the Snap under the Matco or the Mac or the Cornwell, whatever they wanted to buy. But me, I was more tuned into buying the tool that was right for the job and that I needed. And specialty tool wise, especially in automotive and in equipment, you got to have them. Those you're not going to be able to find for the most part at your local hardware store, and the tool trucks are going to have them. And if you're a person that likes to spend a lot of money, then you probably love the tool truck, and the tool truck guy loves you right back just as much. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's good tool truck guys and there's bad tool truck guys. Just be careful. Don't overextend yourself. Don't spend more than you can afford. Otherwise, you just put yourself in a bad position. And you know what? Life's tough enough already. Don't make it any harder on yourself. You don't need to. Let me look at the comment again. Sorry. Hey, homie. Yeah, $200. Up at about 1,000 per stream. Yeah, well, you can find me on Discord. Add me. I don't know how to do all that shit, and I'm not trying to be the best at trying to figure out new shit right now. Nah, no, thank you. Yeah, and that's Walmart is like the new Harbor Freight. Why? Because originally Harbor Freight sold absolute garbage, junk, trash. You bought something Harbor Freight, it you're going to return it right away. It's not going to last. It's going to break on you. They've stepped up the game quite a bit. Their hand tools, their cordless tools are a lot better. Their corded tools are very good. And people that don't understand the difference between brushed and brushless motors, your corded tools, for the most part, are all going to be brushed motors. Why, you ask? Because a brushless motor doesn't need to be in a corded tool because you're getting direct power from an outlet, whereas a brushless tool has a more sophisticated motor, which is going to last longer, perform better, and is highly dependent on a powerful, larger battery in order to get maximum output and performance out of it. But for the most part, your corded tools, you should always have a corded angle grinder. No matter what, you got a corded die grinder. You have corded things that you use heavy. Otherwise, you're just going through batteries. And as convenient as some of these things are, corded tools are just as important now as they were 100 years ago. Okay. Corded tools are absolutely necessary, and the majority of them are brushed. So, people that knock brushed motors and say brushed motors are junk and they're garbage, that's not necessarily true. For the most part, the majority of your corded tools are all going to be brushed, and they work hard and they do just fine. And it's not like they can have a brushless motor. There are, but far and few between. The brushless motor and your electric tool and the requirements of that electric tool with a brushless motor will last longer potentially because it's brushless, and it will perform better because it's brushless, and it's got a lithium ion battery, which will help its performance and maximize its potential. So, yeah, brushed, brushless, you can go either way, but don't be fooled into thinking that if you have a tool with a brushed motor, it's garbage, it's junk. No, that's not true. That's not true one bit. That is not true. I've got brushed and brushless tools and corded tools. You just have to know what tool to use for what job. And like I said, the 12-volt setup that they've got in Milwaukee, the two biggest tools that I found to be useful were their 3/8 and half inch right angle impacts. When it came to mower blades, zero turns, everything that I worked on, small engine wise, were great. A lot of the times, though, what I do is I just use the hex drivers. No, no, sorry about that. Hex drivers, and I'll put a 1/4 inch on there. I'll put a 3/8 on them, and I'll have 4, 5, 6 of them if I needed to, and be able to work and do whatever I need to do with that. But with the drill, I I just drill holes and occasionally drive fasteners, but I don't want to overpower it. It's not designed for things like taking off wheels. I've seen people trying to do that with just a regular old drill. Didn't get very far. Didn't do good. I've seen people take off wheels with 12-volt Milwaukee half-inch drives and 3/8 drives. Yeah, you could do it, but that's not what it's for. If you want to take off a wheel, use a half-inch full-size impact. Don't use your 12-volt Milwaukee or your DeWalt. I I don't recommend it. The DeWalt XR is their top of the line series. Milwaukee, it's Fuel and it's Surge, also top of the line. And you get on the tool trucks and it's all expensive. You're not getting off the tool truck cheap. Everything's expensive. That's why you got to make sure that the tools you get are the tools you need, because the tools that you get, and if they're not what you need, you're just throwing away money. But those tools, when used properly, they can make you a very good living. You can make good living being a technician, being a mechanic, being a welder, being a carpenter, being a mason. You can do whatever you need. And like I said, it's all about being able to do what you love, what you know, what you enjoy, and what you can make money at doing. And once again, the hyper tough stuff and the hard stuff that they sell at Walmart, if that's what you are able to get and that is what your price point is, then, you know, I know they're cheap. I know they're inexpensive, but I would take a look and compare the prices to a Ryobi that you can get from Home Depot. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with Ryobi, brushed or brushless. Their HP stuff, their new stuff is great, but there's nothing wrong with their old stuff. their brush stuff. There's nothing wrong with even their old blue stuff. I've got plenty of that laying around still, and it works on the new batteries, or the new batteries work on the new stuff. Everything is interchangeable for the last 30 plus years. Not everybody can say that. Not all platforms can say that, but Ryobi can. Ryobi's been around since 1943, and they started making tools in the 60s. They didn't originally start out as a tool company, but they were a Japanese company, and they were bought out by TTI a number of years ago. And I can't say there's a lot of versatile products that they sell. They got everything from a 4 volt to a 40 volt or 60 volt, one of the two, I don't remember. So they've got riding mowers that are all electric. They've got consumer, DIY, prosumer. It just plenty of stuff out there. It's a good set whether you're a pro, whether you're a DIY individual, or even if you're in the shop. I never knocked anybody for having any Ryobi or anything like that in the shop for any reason, because if the tool and the individual using it was able to fix the problem, that's all that mattered. If it was done right, I don't care what you're using. You can use a Bauer, you can use a Hercules, you can use an Icon, you can use the Snap-on, you can use the Matco. Use whatever you want. Just do the job correctly. That's it. It doesn't matter how much your tool costs. Specs are overrated and don't tell the entire story. So if you're just going strictly off specs, you're misleading yourself. And if you're going strictly off price, you're also not doing yourself any justice. Shop around a little bit, ask questions, do your own research, and figure out what it is that you need in order for you to be successful at whatever craft or whatever trade that you choose to do. Whether you want to work as a mechanic or a welder, or if you want to be a carpenter, you want to be a mason, like I said, get the tools you need, get the basic stuff that you need to start out with, and build and grow as you learn more and more. That way, you're going to be able to afford to build your tools, get better tools when you need them, and know what tools you need as opposed to gimmicky tools that honestly you can live without. And there's plenty of those, I promise you that. There's plenty of these gimmick tools, and they're uh, some of them I could see a use for, others not really at all. You know, it all depends on it. And take care of your tools, whether they're brushed, whether they're brushless, whether they're Harp, whether they're Harbor Freight, whether they're Home Depot, whether they're Lowe's, whether they're Tool Truck, whether they're garage sale, pawn shop, wherever you got them, whatever you get them, take care of it, because if that's all you got, kind of like your first car, take care of it. Treat it well. Do what you're supposed to. Do the maintenance. Blow off your tools, brush them off, clean up your work area. This is very important. Number one, always, always finish what you start. Number two, never start something you can't finish. And number three, don't put your unfinished work on somebody else's plate. Don't put that on their shoulders. You will not make it in the shop, and nobody's going to want to work with you. If you're the guy that doesn't know how to do anything, or if you're the guy that's constantly borrowing tools, or if you're the guy that's constantly having comebacks, then you either A, are in the wrong field, B, need to focus more, or C, you know what? Refer to A and B when you check out C. Not everybody's meant to be a mechanic. Not everybody's meant to be a welder. Not everybody's meant to be a long haul trucker. Everybody has a purpose. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for all of us to realize what that purpose may be, but I promise you this, we're all capable of doing something. Everybody can do something, and that makes a huge difference. And in my position, like I said, I can't speak a whole lot to it at this point yet, even though I really, really want to. I'd love to tell you my story. But due to injury and other factors out of my control, I can't. But I can still teach you and show you how to use tools. I reinvested, not in myself, because I'm not using any tools, but I reinvested in tools for my son because he has now an interest in welding and learning how to fix things and learning how to use tools. He thinks it's fun. He thinks it's cool. And I agree with him. I felt the same way, even at a younger age. So I will do anything and everything to help him be successful in anything that he wants to do. And if he decides down the road, you know what, I don't want to do it. I thought I did, but it's not really for me. That's okay too, because he's going to have the knowledge on how to use these tools in an event that he needs to. He'll be able to. He'll be able to do plumbing. He'll be able to do drywall. He'll be able to do carpentry. Showing them how to do certain things and how to use tools is just as important as anything else. Whether he takes that as a profession and decides to run with it, or whether he does something totally different. Being able to take care of your own things, whether they're vehicles or homes or projects that need to be done, being able to do it yourself is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of money if you know what you're doing and you have the right tools. The right tool can be from Harbor Freight, it could be from Walmart, it can be from Home Depot, it could be from Lowe's, it could be from the auto parts store that rents specialty tools and does have some of your basic stuff like puller sets for power steering pulleys. I mean, there's, you know, real, you know, older cars and a lot of the Euros have the rear caliper pistons that are twist and turn, and you'll find them still. So get that kit unless you know a few tricks, which if you do, great. If not, just get the kit and save yourself plenty of time. But I can't really go on anymore. I think I've said everything I wanted to say. We've talked about sports. We've talked about tools. We've talked about Harbor Freight. We've talked about Walmart and Sears. And like I said, I encourage people to do what they enjoy, do things that you haven't done before, and see what you think of them. Don't do anything that's going to be in a position where you might hurt yourself or others. Don't do that. I'm not saying that. If you're uncomfortable with something and it's potentially dangerous, ask, get some help. All right. There's plenty of people out here, whether it be online or in the real world, that will gladly help you. If you have any questions for me, reach out to me. I'm an easy guy to reach, and I always respond to people, primarily on YouTube. The other ones, it's just a fight. Always a fight. Anyway, I'm Mad Max. This is the Sofa King Great Variety Show in the Russian Tea Room. We're going to be back tomorrow night with some tech talk, probably some more tool talk, along with who Grant thinks is going to win the Super Bowl. You know me. I already told you I think it's going to be the Patriots, but we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the support, all the viewership. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to earn your viewership. And like I said, consistency is something that I believe in. Even if I post a simple Bible verse prayer every day and that's all I do, you're going to see me post something every day. So that's all I got, guys and gals. If you haven't done so already, hit that like and subscribe. Tell other people about it, and let's keep growing our community. Last I checked, we were just short of 300 people, but very close to almost a million views. So proportionately when it comes views to subscriber ratio, it's really good. 2.1 thousand videos, primarily shorts, it is what it is. But this is the 70 some odd live that I've done since last October. Prior to that, I did plenty more on my old channel, which is no longer up. But that's another story for another day. Listen, it's almost 9 o'clock. Excuse me, it is 9 o'clock. I rattled off information and talked for a little over an hour. I appreciate everyone watching. The the views and the likes, they really help. So do the subscribers. So I thank everybody on every platform out there. In the meantime, have a great rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a happy and safe weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl if you are going to watch it. And we'll be back tomorrow night with Grant, and we're gonna see what Grant wants to talk about. Probably tools, football, and tech. So I'm Mad Max once again. You guys are awesome, and we'll see you again on the next one. I'm out.